So today I am very excited to finally have the Zenith Primero Chronomaster Sport here on the channel. This is a watch that came out about a year and a half ago, and it drew a lot of comparisons to the Rolex Daytona. And some of those were justified and some were not. However, when you really look at the details on this watch, it is very different from the Daytona. Now, you do get a ceramic bezel. It is a solid ceramic bezel, which is very similar to the Daytona. However, if you look closely at that bezel, it has a 1/10 scale. And that is obviously very different from the Daytona. And of course, you're getting a 1/10 chronograph movement, the Primero, inside this watch. And you can see it from the back, again, different from the Daytona. And then you have a tri-register layout, very similar to the Daytona. However, those are in different colors. You get a silver at the 9 o'clock, you have a silver gray at the 6 o'clock, and then you have a silver blue, sort of black, depending on the light that you're looking at it in, at the 3 o'clock. So you have three different colors there. You have the black background that sort of matches that bezel. Really a beautiful setup. And then you could see that second hand flying across the dial. Like I mentioned, it's a 1/10 scale on that bezel, and that's because you have a 1/10 chronograph movement inside, and you could see that actual hand makes, the chronograph hand makes a rotation every 10 seconds. So really visually very appealing. And then you have a minute scale that is on the outer portion of the dial. That is printed on the dial. It's a track. And then you have another track that is sort of a chapter ring on the inside. That's a silver color. So I'll do close-ups of that so you can see. A lot of details on this dial, and it's really well executed. Very different from the Daytona as well. And you can see you have traditional style pushers here, sort of pump pushers. You do not get a screwed-in crown. You get 100 meters of water resistance. You get the Zenith logo here, the star on the crown. Very tastefully done. It's actually a sizable crown. We'll do measurements in just a second. And then the bracelet. The bracelet is sort of an oyster style bracelet. So obviously comparisons to the Daytona. You get center polished links. Outer links are brushed. You have a polished edge on the bracelet itself. Screwed links, nice big screws on here. And then you have some micro adjust that is manual. You do not get any on-the-fly micro adjust, so you don't get anything like glide lock here, which is disappointing, I think. I think they should do something like that with this watch. You have a flip-up enclosure for the buckle itself. The buckle itself is actually very similar in style to what you get from Rolex as well. However, you're not getting on-the-fly micro adjust, so that's something that they could definitely improve here, but something that they don't need to improve is the Primero movement. I'll do close-ups of the movement. You can see what I'm talking about. There's a lot of depth to this movement. It's engraved. You can see the column wheel. It's blued. It looks just beautiful. It is really a beautiful movement. A movement that I would definitely be flipping my wrist over constantly and looking at the, or flipping the watch over constantly and looking at the movement. It is gorgeous. And I'll do plenty of close-ups so you guys can see that. You do get a date. The date is sort of sandwiched between the 4 and 5 o'clock position. You either love it or hate it. I think it looks good. It's color matched. It sort of disappears in the dial. I would have liked it at 6 o'clock, but you have the register there, so they probably couldn't do that. That's really it. This is a 40 millimeter watch, basically. So I've done the measurements on this a few times. I always measure the watches before just to get an idea of what they are, but it's a 40.3 millimeter watch. Now, I've been wearing this watch on and off since it came in, and actually more on than off because I'm super excited about it. And it wears like a 40 millimeter watch, maybe even a 41 millimeter watch, somewhere in between. That's what it wears like. The case is slightly larger. I think I've measured it at 40.5 millimeters, but that's really it. You do have male end links on here that look like female end links, and I know that'll draw some jokes through the comments whenever I say that, but you can see that the bracelet does not hang down. It actually that end link right there that is actually part of the milled end link sort of protrudes a little bit. So you do get a larger effective lug-to-lug because of that. But the lug-to-lug on here is, I believe, around 46 millimeters, I want to say. Yeah, 46.6. And then including those sort of male, female end links, you have a 49 millimeter lug width. basically almost spot on. But it doesn't wear very big on my 7.5-inch wrist. We'll do measurements, and I will just do a wrist shot really quickly. But 13.7 millimeters thickness, and you can see that is a little bit raised. So the sapphire crystal, which has AR coating, is a little bit raised off of the case. So it does add a little bit of thickness to it, but considering the movement inside, that's really not that thick of a watch. And then 6.8 millimeters on the crown. I really do like that. Just all in all, a really nice package. And very quickly, I'm going to throw it on my wrist. We'll talk about the price on here. And then we will do a lume shot because, like I said, it does have a little bit of lume. You have 100 meters of water resistance. This is not something that you're actually going to go diving with or something like that, but you can go swimming with it. You could wear it in the shower. It's a perfect everyday chronograph. You could do pretty much anything you want with it, you know, barring diving or snorkeling. You know, probably not the best watch to do it. Maybe you could, but you're probably better off with a dive watch. Anyway, very quickly, let me show you what I have on my wrist, and then we will do a lume shot and talk about price. Today I have on my Zenith. This is my Zenith Elite. This is a 18 karat rose gold watch. And when we talk about attention to detail, this has the Elite movement in it. It's a super slim movement, as you can see, automatic movement inside. Very, very thin. And you get the rose gold buckle on here, rose gold case, hands, indices, all in rose gold, crown. But you have a domed dial on here. It's sort of a pearl dial. It's a little bit metallic. You have like a little bit of rose gold inlay in the sub dial. It is gorgeous, this watch. Sort of a trapezoid date window, really sort of Art Deco. Man, this is just a beautiful watch, and they are completely underrated. I don't think they even make this specific version anymore. You have that sort of circular decoration on it. What a beautiful watch. It really is just a beautiful watch. Now, this barely fits my wrist because it was sent without any extra links, and I have a 7.5-inch wrist, so it is really hard for me to get on. But once I do get it on, it's actually pretty decently comfortable. So my hand is a little bit bigger. I would, if there was a little bit more micro adjust, this would have fit me perfectly. Maybe 2 more positions, but it's on the end of the micro adjustment. So I would need another link and then put in the micro adjust. But there it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. As you could see, this wears perfect. And I mean, literally looks perfect on my 7.5-inch wrist, like it was made for it. It's about 40 millimeters, just over 40 millimeters. Like I said, it wears like a 40.5 or 41 millimeter. And that is definitely my wheelhouse. This is a phenomenal looking watch. I've gotten a lot of compliments wearing this, and I have to say, this has actually been well worn. This was received, like I said, I actually have this lent into the channel from Zenith, and it has been well worn. This is scratched up. However, when you're looking at it face down because of the ceramic bezel, it looks brand new. Obviously, polishing and things like that, the side of the case, you have a little bit of scratching and everything. There's a very thick line of polish on the case. The case is finished beautifully as well. What you would expect from Zenith. They do a really good job with the finishing on their cases, and this is no exception. Very, very nicely done. Anyway, price on this is $10,000. $10,000 may seem like a lot of money, but they've put a lot of work into this watch. And it's drawing comparisons to watches like the Daytona, which sell for way more than $10,000, even though their asking price isn't $10,000. I think this is really a very true alternative to the Rolex Daytona without it being an homage to the Rolex Daytona. It has a lot of its own characteristics and personality. And that secondhand, that flying secondhand with a little red tip on it, is so interesting. It's mesmerizing. Really, it is very, very, really just a beautiful watch to look at. You have a 60-minute counter at the 6 o'clock, and then also you have at the 3 o'clock, you have a 60-second counter, and then you have running seconds here at the 9 o'clock. So you have 2 running seconds, and then you have that center 1/10 second, and then when you stop it, it's actually on the scale, it actually stops that second, and then obviously you have the minutes down here. Really cool. Just an interesting look, and then you have that running seconds, which continues, but when you run that, there's a lot of action going on this dial, a lot of registers moving. It's pretty cool. Anyway, really quickly, a lume shot. Well, there you have it. The lume isn't insane, but it's really not bad. The fact that there is lume is nice because this is sort of an everyday watch. 100 meters of water resistance, also very nice. Sort of a square pattern for the Lume, those dots in a square pattern, and then you have Lume on the hands. There's no Lume on any of the running second hands that I can see, so there is no Lume there. But other than that, really nice to have Lume either way. It's not bad. It's liberally applied, I guess, on the hands, maybe not on the indices. But $10,000, like I said, is a lot of money, but obviously you're getting a lot for that money. And the style of this watch is really cool, and the movement is just awesome. It's just something to really behold. Looking at it from the back and looking at the action on the front of the chronograph, both of those running seconds, and then that 1/10 of a second hand for the chronograph running really fast. It looks awesome. If you're a watch geek, this is sort of a watch geek's watch, and I really like this. Anyway, tell me what you guys think in the comments below. I know Zenith is just a very historic, very important brand, and this is the first El Primero that I've actually featured on the channel. I've spoken about them in the past many times. I own a Zenith. That is the Elite, obviously, in rose gold. One of the few dress watches I actually own. I plan on adding a Zenith El Primero to my collection. I really want to add the Chronomaster Sport, or maybe a Defy 21 in the future. We'll see what happens. I love both of those watches, both of these watches as well. So tell me what you guys think in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel. It helps me bring you videos on a regular basis, and I very much appreciate your views. So if you could hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you're notified when I release videos. That all helps the channel. And like I said, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next video.